watching the show, then my sister came up to me and she was like, "Oh, they bombed Venezuela," and I was like, "What? What do you mean they bombed Venezuela?" All my hair is like, that skin was like all waking up, and I was like, "What? Are you kidding? Are you joking? This is not funny." And I was just like with like the feeling of I want to cry, but also I'm happy, and I couldn't sleep, so I decided to come here and see like and feel with the other people the same feelings that they're feeling.
The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Look, I can tell you, as Speaker of the House, as the person who's in charge of defending Article I powers, I'm just going to insist to you that those have not been traversed in any way by what happened here. The President used his authority under the law. He did so in a way that caused no casualties on the American side, and got the job done with exquisite intelligence and extreme precision that can only be done by the U.S. That's why we are the world's great and last superpower, and we stand for justice, and you're going to see that meted out here. It's overdue, and everyone will be safer because this has happened.
But first, the US launched an unprecedented operation in Venezuela last night, capturing socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife. While Venezuelans were flooding the streets rejoicing, Western leftists, including here in Australia, launched nationwide rallies against the operation. Now, Holly, I find this so ironic. You've got the Venezuelan people themselves who are flooding the streets, celebrating that finally they've been liberated from this dictator. And then you've got lefties, including in our own country, saying, hands off Venezuela. This is US imperialism. How delusional can they get?
Isn't it extraordinary that the professional protesters du jour, their little topic has changed? They've moved on from globalising the Intifada to let's condemn the jailing of a narco-terrorist. I mean, these guys haven't met a dictator and a regime that punishes its people that it isn't prepared to support. And we see it whether they're supporting Gazans, and we know like how LGBT people are treated in Gaza, yet somehow or other we have queers for Palestine. I mean, let's just wait for the queers for Venezuela to come up. But I mean, it is just extraordinary that the way that they have just jumped on this anti-Trump brigade for whatever it is. I mean, look, it is extraordinary when you think of the international law around it and how that's going to be negotiated, but also the fact that there were arrest warrants in the US under narco-terrorism for Maduro, and they have what has been executed. And the Venezuelan population are rejoicing that this guy is gone, but they couldn't do anything about it themselves.
And this is the irony right here. Biden had a $25 million arrest warrant out for Maduro, but no one ever did anything about it. Trump got in and he said, well, if you play games, you're going to find out exactly what happens to you. And the other irony is you've got leftists who've spent the last 2 years calling Trump a dictator, calling him this authoritarian, rigging elections, and now they're out marching for someone who is literally a dictator, literally runs over protesters, imprisons opposition leaders, suspends elections. I'm starting to be genuinely concerned at the mental gymnastics going on.
These are the lefties who have spent the best part of 2025 holding up the No Kings protest sign. So no kings unless you are a complete dictator who, lets his country starve. Over 80% of Venezuelans live in poverty. Kids are eating out of garbage cans. A third of the population has had to flee the country. So unless you're that dictator, we stand right behind you. And already the hashtags of I stand with Venezuela. So you can turn to your Venezuelan next to you and say, no, I'd much rather your country be as it was before, 24 hours prior, when you were under this oppressor. Look, it is an extraordinary foreign policy move. I don't think I'm under any illusion, though, that Trump will do what suits Trump and that there are strategic moves here for the US. This is a country who holds the biggest oil supply in the world, and he is now apparently, running Venezuela for a while until we can find a democratic leader. And look, that type of power has got to be, it just comes in handy when you're negotiating with people to end wars like Putin, sitting around a table with China. That's quite a handy thing to have up your sleeve. But at the end of the day, you're right, the leftists who are out there who claim to care about human rights, the hypocrisy, you could not even dream about it.
And it was interesting, Holly, because Trump and Secretary Marco Rubio explicitly cited the Monroe Doctrine, which says that in the Western Hemisphere, that is the US's hemisphere. No one else, not China, not Russia, not Iran, should have a foothold. Now, they were using Venezuela as a launching ground to exploit the natural resources, train their own people. It's just interesting to see finally a president who's actually willing to assert some authority.
And John, I wanted to also just interrogate this point about international law a bit more as well, because there's this idea that, somehow this is a violation of norms, states shouldn't invade other states, but the Trump administration, they have a case. They say that this was really a criminal indictment. That's why we saw Maduro frog marched by guys with DEA badges on their arms into the courthouse earlier today. Where does this whole international law argument stack up? Because as far as I'm concerned, the international law crowd has no answer about what to do about somebody like Maduro.
Well, James, that's right. I mean, arguably, there's really no such thing as international law because there's no one there to enforce it. And there certainly is no principle of international law that says that a narco-terrorist dictator is immune from any accountability as long as he stays in the country that he runs and among the people that he terrorizes. And Nicolas Maduro was indicted in the United States and has now been arrested and has been brought to the U.S. to stand trial. That is a legal proceeding.
Yeah, indeed. And meanwhile, though, talking about other Democrats' reaction, I love this here. Kamala Harris, who could very well have been the president of the United States right now, and presumably would have left Maduro in power, has posted on X, writing that the president is putting troops at risk, spending billions, destabilizing a region, and offering no legal authority, no exit plan, and no benefit at home. But I thought this was particularly hypocritical here, John, because as you alluded to before, the Biden administration, and with Kamala Harris as vice president, approved a $25 million bounty for Maduro's arrest just days before they left office.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The Biden State Department increased the reward that was being offered for information leading to the capture and arrest of Nicolas Maduro to $25 million. It looks to me like Donald Trump may be eligible to claim that reward. So it's total hypocrisy. And, everything that Kamala Harris said in that tweet was wrong. There were no troops harmed. There were no billions spent. The region is going to be more stable with Venezuela no longer an ally of Russia and China and Iran. The legal authority for the arrest is the federal indictment in the Southern District of New York. And far from not having an exit plan, the troops have already exited. So I think that this is a brilliantly executed operation. And I think that American security is going to be greatly enhanced by not having a hostile country collaborating with our enemies right across the Caribbean from us.
Well, and that's the thing, John. I mean, everybody who says international law and you can't use force, but as with the law, at a state level or a federal level, law needs force behind it to be enforced. Isn't there a very strong case to be made that if you do believe in a stable international order, taking out bad actors like Maduro when they need to go is actually a way to preserve peace, not undermine it?
Well, I think that is exactly right, James. And who else is going to hold someone like Nicolas Maduro accountable? His own people would love to do it, but they can't. He's got them under his heel. The United Nations is great at making high-sounding pronouncements, but they have absolutely no ability to do anything about an autocratic dictator like Maduro, who's not just a dictator, but a narco-terrorist, as he has officially been indicted in the federal court in the United States.
Indeed. John Heinrich, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and a very happy New Year to you there in Minnesota.
Happy New Year, James.